Well, hello there, friends. So today what we're doing is something a little bit different. So don't click off because I know that many of you don't stick around because you see that I'm not sewing something. But you know what? When I'm doing these kind of videos, there's a lot to be learned because there's a lot of advice given out. So if you click off, you're not going to learn a thing, okay? If you do that, you're missing out on the best information out there. So guess what I did? I went to AI and I asked it to analyze my YouTube channel and see what we can do to further enhance and educate you. So let's just dive right in. Oh, hey guys. Well, let's see, you can subscribe and like to my channel and all that kind of stuff. Well, forget that. Okay, anyway, you'll subscribe if you really want to. That's what you usually do anyway. So what I did is I went to the AI and I asked a simple question. I said, can you analyze my comments? Such as, what is the most common question? So it came back and says, hello, I'm Ask Studio, your AI creative partner. It's a great idea to dive into your comments. There are a direct line to what your audience is thinking and what they need help with. So it says, I analyzed 118 comments across your channel and found some fascinating insights into your viewers' interests and the most pressing questions. The most common question is the single most frequent question your audience asks is about where to buy your materials and equipment. Well, those of you that know me and have been around for a while, and a lot of you have, a lot of you have stuck through me through thick and thin. You'll know that I've made some videos already about where to buy my materials. And you'll find them right here, and I'll put links in the description below. Your viewers are serious about following your tutorials and are actively trying to source, looks like, specific machines, especially the Juki sewing machine. I do get a lot of questions about the Juki. And I don't understand why exactly, because, that's the only one that I'm using. But really, people, they always ask me about the sewing machine that they should be looking for or something that they should be buying. Or, they're always mostly talking about new because they probably see that I'm using a new machine. But I always tell them in the comments that that's really not necessary. I always tell them first that any new or used sewing machine, new or used, okay, sewing machine will work as an industrial sewing machine, not the home style, okay? So I get those questions too. But anyway, for the industrial sewing machine, as long as it has reverse, and oh wait, how do we do that? Reverse, and we have a walking foot, and we have a welt foot. So if you have those three items, that you can pretty much sew up about anything. So back to the home machine. People that tell me that they want to start learning on their home machine and doing auto upholstery or marine upholstery. And that's really going to be tough to do with one of those little machines because, first of all, the foot height is usually not high enough for those thick materials. Not only that, but you've got a much thinner needle that has to go through all that material. And the machine might not even have that kind of power to go through all that material, all those vinyls and thicknesses. The other thing about those small sewing machines is the thread size. So the thread size for like making clothing, okay, that's not going to be adequate enough for upholstery. So it won't last very long. I'm telling you, after a couple of years, it's probably just going to start falling apart. So skip that home sewing machine.
If you find value in my upholstery tutorials, now is an easier way to contribute to my YouTube channel. Buy a coffee by scanning this QR code now. Thank you.
Now about materials. Questions about where to get specific types of foam, the best black vinyl that looks like leather, and good quality marine vinyl. So I think it found one of my comments from this week where I got exactly that question about looking for the best black vinyl that looks like leather. And I told them about what I use was from Keystone Brothers, the upholstery supplier. They have what they call the Partners Program, not sponsored, okay? I always pay for my own materials. But anyway, you hear that, Keyston? Anyway, I know I mention them all the time, right? But anyway, um, they have the Partners Program. And if you look on their color samples, every color of vinyl that they have there, they have the leather counterpart. So you can get, like, say, a tan vinyl and the matching tan leather. So that's the answer that I gave him on his question on the comments. Next, there's tools. Inquiries about your pneumatic staple gun and specific glue products. So those are some pretty lately comments that I've gotten. Some people asking questions about my staple gun and the size staples that I use, the type of staples that I use. And basically, what I told him was that I use the Arrow staples on my staple gun. They're the T50, not sponsored, okay? And the pneumatic staple gun is also an Arrow staple gun. You can find them on Amazon. Okay, no links below because I don't know. It's so easy for you to search yourself. And I get tons and tons and tons of questions about glue. The glue that I use, the glue that I don't use, how to clean the glue, overspray and that kind of thing, how often I clean my glue gun. So really, I use contact adhesive for everything I do, I tell them. I never ever use anything that comes out of a spray can because everybody that ever uses it, they find out at one point or another that it's very unreliable. So that's why I never use it. The funny thing is, I saw, this is one thing I never ever do. I never ever ever watch other people's upholstery videos, because I've been doing this so long and I have my way of doing things, and I would just want to keep it pure, right? And I don't want to take some idea that some other YouTube guru is doing on his YouTube channel and then I start doing that too. I don't think so. I've even had people tell me that I should be watching other YouTube channels so that way I can learn how to do something differently. But I don't really need to, right? And I think 50 years is long enough to be doing this kind of work. But I don't want to be doing it for 52, 55 years, right? But anyway, this guy that I saw on his other YouTube channel, um, what he was doing, it was a video about doing professional upholstery. But I'm watching this video and he's doing things that I talk about all the time that you shouldn't be doing. And but the funny thing is he did do a couple things that I do. So I don't know if maybe he came across my channel at some point, and if he learned something, that's awesome though, right? That'd be great. But the thing that I don't know, I got this feeling inside I'm not too happy about, because that particular video that I was watching, he got like 45,000 views on that one video in like a month. And I never ever ever get anywhere close to that. My videos are usually like about 2 or 3 thousand after a month, right? Not 45,000. So hey guys, help me out and keep watching, okay? So as we march on here, it says this highlights a high level of viewer intent. They aren't just watching, they are preparing to do the work themselves. Now for audience, sentiment, and themes. Your community is incredibly supportive, expressing gratitude and admiration for your expertise. Oh, geez, guys, come on. Okay, appreciation for expertise. Viewers consistently praise your 50 years of experience and refer you to as a master of the trade and a great teacher. They value the old school wisdom that you share. Well, I'm telling you, that really don't what I'm doing is very organic. When I'm working, I basically just have a camera looking over my shoulder. That's kind of how I even started this YouTube channel. Was, I figured, well, I'm doing the work anyway, because I have real paying customers, and I'm just doing the work anyway. So, why not just have a camera there over my shoulder? So what you're seeing is real. It's not fluff. It's not heavily, how would you say, edited, for my mistakes. Matter of fact, I leave mistakes in, and I always tell my viewers in the comments to, and I bet you I'm the only YouTuber for upholstery out there that's telling you, literally telling you, to make all the mistakes that you can. And maybe I'm missing something because I never watched those other videos, right? But if you have, let me know. Let me know how many YouTubers out there are telling you to make as many mistakes as you can. And you guys are probably saying, what? Why are you telling me to make mistakes? Because that is how you learn. So you know that the more mistakes that you make, the more that you're learning, right? 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 Okay, moving on. Relaxing and educational tone. Many comments mention that your videos are informative and relaxing, and that your calm, wise voice is a major draw. They love your thorough step-by-step teaching style. Well, that's the other thing. I guess I am who I am. I'm not acting too much. I'm acting a little bit because a lot of you don't know my deep, deep story. So that's why I have to be an actor sometimes. But I promise when I hit that 100,000 subscriber, I'm gonna let all my secrets out. It's things that I've been keeping from most of you. I've only actually mentioned this to just a few select people. So now, lately, there was the no music preference. A recurring and strong theme is the preference for no background music in your tutorials. Viewers state that music is distracting and they want to focus only on your voice and the sound of your work to learn effectively. So now AI has given me some ideas, actionable content ideas. This analysis points to a clear opportunity for new content. Number one, A, where to buy or upholstery shopping guide video. Create a video dedicated to answering the most common question you would cover. Well, I guess we did that. The exact models or specs of your favorite Juki machine. Well, I guess my only Juki machine is my LU2810. And that's what I've been using ever since my beloved Chandler Adler fell apart on me. Well, it didn't fall apart, but I wore it out. I used it for 40 years, and it was an awesome machine made in Germany. It was so smooth and quiet, man, just like a watch. I love that machine. But when it wore out, I had to replace it. So I ended up with a Juki LU2810. And at the sewing machine dealer that I was at, that was pretty much the best machine that they had at the time. So that's what I bought. Where to source materials like foam, vinyl, and glue? Well, I always give them the credit because that's really my only supplier pretty much. About 90% of the time was because they're local to me, is the Keystone Brothers. And tips for beginners trying to buy wholesale who may not have a tax ID. This is a specific pain point mentioned. And I do get a lot of commenters telling me how they have problems buying from suppliers like Keystone. Okay, that's one of them. They call them up. They call up Keystone, or they go there. Or I think that they're just probably just calling them and asking them the question about buying from them. And the question that they're going to ask you is, are you an upholstery shop? Do you have a tax ID number or a tax ID number where you collect sales tax? And most people are going to say, well, no, I don't have a business. I don't have an ID, tax ID. And so they'll say, well, we can't sell to you. We can't give you a wholesale account. And then I always write back to them. I tell them, so are you telling them that you're not in an upholstery shop? Or are you telling them that you're interested in upholstery and you're thinking about starting a new business? And the first thing I have ever done, because I tell you what, Keyston, um, they don't ask me for a tax ID number. I mean, I've been buying from them for 45 years, 50 years. But the thing is if you tell them that you're paying the tax, okay, like me, okay, I don't collect sales tax, so I don't even have a tax ID number. Okay, I don't collect the sales tax. And so what I do is I pay it, I pay the sales tax to the supplier. That way the tax is paid. Okay, so that's the reason I don't have a tax ID number and I never charge the customer tax. Of course, I'm not an accountant and maybe you should ask yours. I'm just telling you what the way I've always done it. But there's a lot of smaller upholstery suppliers. I always just tell people to Google upholstery supplier near me. Okay, and there's going to be a lot of smaller ones, probably local in your area. Don't call them. Okay, go in there and visit them. Have a little conversation with them. Tell them that you're interested in starting a upholstery, and that you eventually would like to turn it into a business. Okay, so there's going to be plenty of upholstery suppliers that are going to be willing to sell to you because that's what they do. They're an upholstery supplier. Now, number two, a tool spotlight series. Create short videos detailing your most used tools, like your pneumatic stapler and the hacksaw blade for cutting foam, which received specific praise. And you guys know about my hacksaw blade, right? Because I use it a lot on upholstery foam. So I get a lot of questions about what direction I should be sawing with my hacksaw blade, and should I be pulling or should I be pushing? And really, with the hacksaw blade, you should be pulling on it, and that's how you get your nice cut. Okay. The other question is what TPI or tooth per inch on a hacksaw blade that I'm using. And I tell them, well, I usually just grab the closest hacksaw blade that I can reach for. It doesn't matter what the TPI or tooth per inch on the hacksaw blade is. The foam is no match for a hacksaw blade. Okay, the hacksaw blade is going to go right through it. So the other question that I'm always asked about is thinner foams or softer foams, like memory foam. And I also do use it to cut memory foam, so I don't have a problem with that. And next is to continue with the no music trend. The overwhelming preference for a quiet, focused learning environment is a huge advantage for your educational content. Continue to produce videos with your engaging voiceover and the natural sounds of your craft. And lastly, your audience loves your authentic, detailed approach and is eager to follow in your footsteps. Keep up the excellent work. Yay! So, there you have it. So, you have any ideas? Put it in comments. Tell me what you think about any of these and which one of those stuck out to you and which of these are your favorites. And what are your ideas? I have a lot of content to do. I'm always making my Sunday morning videos. So if you always have some ideas, go into comments and ask the question. As you may know, I have thousands and thousands and thousands of comments on my YouTube channel, and I answer every question. And a lot of those that know me know that that's true. So did the AI nail it or not? So, my friends, until next time, we'll see ya.
If you like this video, you'll really like the next one.